Hey government kids, how are you today? I am starting to talk about how you become an engaged citizen. To become an engaged citizen, you're going to need to pay attention to what's going on in the world. And that's how come we have this online current events form right in front of us here. And we are going to start by looking at some newspapers, looking at some events before we create a presentation. It's an online current event form, and you are going to do a recorded presentation. So, when we had in-person class, kids would sign up and they would do it weekly. We would do it usually on Wednesdays or Fridays. So now we're going to do it online, and we're all going to do it. And so this is how it goes. You find something that you think is important related to policy or public policy, and then you analyze it, and then you create a presentation. You summarize the article, you tell us what it says, and you tell us what it meant and what happened. And you give us an opinion, that's number 2, about the issue. Then you might want to have, what questions do you have about it? You might say, I don't get it, and add something along those lines that you're misunderstanding something, and that way your government teachers might help put something into context for you and explain it. And then maybe some sort of solution. Hey, this was in my current event, and here's my idea of solution. All right. That is the presentation. If you notice down below, there are some guidance for you. So definitely know the names, dates, people, places, and the things that are in it. If you don't know those things, I'm not sure you've read the article enough to be able to present it. Make sure you have some real understanding of what occurred, and make sure that you're sharing all 4 of those things. You've done all of these things. You've asked a question, you've presented a solution, you have an opinion, and you've told us the story. So that's all that. These are all guidance for you right here on this form. Now, we're going to scroll down a little bit further. Okay. This is the thinking portion. This is for you. I don't want this. I used to collect it, and Mr. Moreno or Mr. Palomero might still want this collected. And in all honesty, it's a good thing to fill it out. If you type up the answers and put the information in there, it will help you do your presentation or your video on your video presentation better. Okay? So all it's going is asking questions about what's in the article. And if you can't answer a few of these questions, I highly suggest you get a different thing to present. Because if you don't have a lot of facts in your event and you're just telling me, oh, there was a hurricane, and you're giving me some information about weather that doesn't have very much information, 2,200 people died, there was this that happened, this that happened, this that happened, and that was the end of the weather. There is no possibility of offering a solution or some policy. The government cannot fix the weather. It can slow climate change down, but what comes around, you're just giving me basic facts. Now, let me give you an example. So Puerto Rico is still without power in a large part of the countries. Okay, there's large parts of that country that still do not have electricity. If you start telling me about the problems with that, then we're talking about the poor response of the government, the lack of resources put in place, and then that has a lot of information. But if you're just telling me about the hurricane, the earthquake, etc., you're not, yes, it happened, and yes, it's current, but it's not very much of a story that's a thought-provoking story that can help us in government in creating ideas about what we want from it. All right, so pretty much this form goes through the who, what, when, and why of your article or story, and that is just to help get you to present your 4 components in your recorded presentation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go back up here to the top and re-emphasize this. I don't want to hear much about weather unless there is some other extenuating point. I don't want it, notice it says right here, this is, you may not use articles on entertainment, gossip, or sports. There is a reason for that. That isn't news. Things about sports and all of our entertainment world, unless you're talking about Colin Kaepernick and his kneeling and how, what a great impact that was and how it has helped the Black Lives Matter protests and awareness campaigns, etc., you know, then you can talk about it. But if you're talking about who got traded and where they went, etc., that is not current events for government class. All right. I'm sure you have lots of questions for your teacher, which may be me, maybe Mr. Palmer, maybe Mr. Rano, but that is current events in a nutshell.